All right, what's going on, guys? So today we're gonna talk about online dating. I'm gonna give you my top tips after using it for like 6+ years off and on. So some of it's gonna be a little unorthodox, so bear with me a little bit and hope you learned something. Let's go. All right, so it's all about the photos, obviously. How do we maximize those? I have some tips here for you. Some of them are kind of weird, so bear with me. But number one would be get a professional photo shoot. I think around me for like an hour, it's only $50, $100. If you know the person, it can be even less, but it's relatively cheap and they can snap hundreds of pictures. So highly encourage you to do that. If you have like a really unique interest or you like going to the gym, whatever, fill in the blank, you can get it during that, and that would make it even more cool. Okay, so angles. Girls have been doing this for years, even back in the MySpace days. I remember my first girlfriend, she knew her good angle, and she would take like 30 or 40 pictures in that same spot, and then she would go through there and pick whichever one looked the best. Chicks have been doing this shit for years. Not a lot of guys know about it, but it's a good strategy. All right, and this one's a little bit weird. It might be a little deceptive depending on how you look at it, but we're not gonna go overboard with it. Photoshop has a tool called Liquify, and you can zoom in on certain parts of your body and actually enlarge them. Like, we all know you should be going to the gym and stuff like that, but if you wanna like enhance your shoulders or your arms just a tad, you can use that tactic. Another one is your neck. Not a lot of guys know about this. It's kind of an aside, but training your neck is actually gonna make a huge difference on how your face looks. You can't change your face structure, but having a wider neck is gonna make your face look more angular. And if you have any puffiness or fat in your face, it's gonna help that fat distribute over a larger surface area. So look up neck training, be careful with it obviously. If you do lift weights, your neck is gonna naturally grow, but if you want a little bit extra, you can actually train your neck directly. So that's a little side tangent, but it's a good tip as well. And it's gonna make a huge difference. Don't believe me? I'm gonna throw up some pictures right now, and this is gonna be, you know, they did it with Channing Tatum and all these like attractive guys that already have large necks, and they made them look even smaller. Moving on, stop texting girls short stories. I'll pop up some screenshots. I see it all the time, and I used to be guilty of it as well. Guys will send a girl like a paragraph or two, and then she'll respond with like a word or one sentence maybe, and then they'll do it again and again. And it's just like, you seem so needy and desperate. I don't know if they're consciously thinking that in their mind, but they're probably opening up your message, saying what's ever on their mind really quick, and then hopping out. And you're sitting there thinking of something super clever and witty and telling her your life story. A good rule of thumb is called mirroring, okay? So whatever her message looks like, try to have yours somewhat similar. So if she has a couple sentences, you can do 2 or 3 sentences. If she has a couple words, you respond with a couple words or maybe a sentence. Don't overdo it. And obviously this is just a general rule. You have to gauge the situation. All right, moving on. So unique openers. So many guys just say like, hey, what's up? Or they Google some fucking pickup line that never works. I want you to look at her profile and look through her pictures or her bio and find something unique about her. Maybe it's her style. For example, like some girls would have like a really structured jaw or chin, and I would tell them they had a fantastic chin. And that seems goofy as hell and silly, but they would always respond to that, and that opens the door for conversation. Another good one that I used to use all the time was I would say their first name. I would type out their first name with an exclamation point afterwards, and then they would usually send my name with an exclamation point backwards. You know, it's not getting them over to the house, but it's getting them to respond. And that's the big one right there. You wanna get them to respond to open up the door for conversation, and then you wanna move them off the app as quick as possible and get that phone number. And that leads into the next one, too much small talk and wasting time, okay? So many guys will get into these conversations and it's actually going good, but it ends up fizzling out because they just don't pull the trigger and they keep it going for forever instead of being like, hey, when are you free? What's your schedule like? Do you want to hang out sometime? What's your phone number? It's just too much wasting time. Like, guys will fucking go on forever like, oh, let's play the question game now, and where's the weirdest place you've ever been? Just a bunch of nonsense. And then the girl could have been like super interested in the beginning, but because he just fucking kept screwing around and wasting time and not pulling the trigger, she loses interest and goes on to another guy. Send like 4 or 5 messages to her and get 4 or 5 back as well, and then ask for the phone number. Don't drag it on forever. Obviously you gotta gauge the situation. Sometimes it'll be shorter, sometimes it'll be longer. Get off the app as soon as you can and get that phone number. That's gonna differentiate you from the hundreds of matches that she already has, because now you're texting her and she doesn't have to get on an app to see your message. All right, fellas, hopefully you enjoyed that. I tried to break everything down for you the best that I could. This is kind of what my channel is all about, so if you like it, feel free to subscribe and check out the other ones. Thanks for joining me. Talk to you next time.